So my guides wouldn't leave me alone and got me to roll out of my comfy meditation spot this morning to record this information for all who will listen and may find this helpful. However, it does take a bit of practice and dedication. So let's just get into it, you guys. Now bear with me because I am extremely exhausted today. Your life, your timeline is only one of many simultaneous possibilities. And I want you guys to know that it is possible and it is your birthright to alter your timeline and the potentials of your timeline. You see, our culture, for many different reasons, has, let's just say, hypnotized us into believing that we are limited to just one timeline. But in this message, we are going to discuss my understanding of timelines and how you can change yours if you feel the need to. So, whenever there's an increase of chaotic events, there's this merging of multiple timelines. Due to the fact that our planet has entered a chaotic node and is experiencing very high levels of chaos right now, there is also an increase in what we call time nodes. And time nodes happen when two or more timelines converge. As a result of them being so close together, these blending effects sometimes happen because the realities of one timeline bleed through or are psychically perceived by those on a neighboring timeline. Strong timelines can also literally affect the possibilities and or probabilities of other timelines within a time node. So in other words, creative and novel effects often happen within timelines when they enter a time node, which is in proximity to other timelines. My friends, these are evolutionary jump starts, and they hold tremendous possibility for accelerated evolution if you understand how to use them. As a result of the chaotic nature of events on our planet, there are multiple time nodes that are emerging. Multiple. Now, this is a very complicated and complex thing, and I'm gonna try to break it down for you guys, and I'm sure I'm probably gonna have to make another video on this topic, but I believe that this information has vital significance for those of you who are engaged in the Ascension process. Now, a little bit of background about our planet. Our planet, planet Earth, is on the brink of utter transformation, you guys. The form of this transformation has multiple expressions, okay? And it's you, the collective, that will affect these outcomes to a greater or less degree, okay? So some of these outcomes, some of these possibilities fulfill the prophecies of planetary destruction and purification. Other timelines, other expressions reveal a different outcome. A sudden, unexpected shift in human consciousness is bringing the controllers who have so negatively affected our destiny to their knees. And there's literally hundreds of other possible timelines between these two polarities. There are many interests in our society who wishes to remain hypnotized. They wish for us to continue on this delusion that we are limited to one timeline or one experience of life. They want to keep us hypnotized, you guys. But we have, within our nature, the ability to change timelines and probabilities at the last moment of any event, whether it's a personal event or a collective event. I don't say this to be positive. I say this as a matter of fact, you guys, a matter of fact concerning your evolutionary potential. Now, whether we will collectively reach this potential or not remains to be seen, but the path is to reach upward for the highest potential, for the greater good, regardless of what, may or may not be happening around us. So in this message, we are going to discuss what you can do and how you can do it. Okay, one of my guides is saying, from our perspective, your collective destiny is the summation of individual choices that you as persons make. This is combined with evolutionary and terrestrial forces that are far beyond your and your fellow humans' abilities to control. This collection of forces also involves cosmic patterns of energy and intentionality from areas of the cosmos beyond your local star system. You are a part of a complex cosmic matrix. That matrix is your universe. If we were to use a metaphor, we would say that you, as humanity, are on this great big giant ocean ship, but many of you are asleep, and there is someone who is directing or steering this vessel that shouldn't be there. For many historical and trans-historical reasons, which we won't even go into, various beings have taken over your ship. But my, how the tides are turning, my friends. More and more of you are waking up. Though some of you are still half asleep, staggering across the deck as you watch the huge storm of the world, changing before your eyes. The controllers know that many of you are waking up. Too many for their comfort. They know. So it's definitely a very interesting time to be alive, starseeds. A very interesting time. The current ecological situation going on in the Gulf is one example of multiple timelines. In spite of our media's huge attempt to dismiss the situation, many are sensing how important this situation really is, and there are complications in the Gulf region that are beneath the surface, both literally and figuratively. There are several possible timelines for this event. Several of them. Which of these possible timelines will unfold into our three-dimensional reality isn't written in concrete or stone, but is a changeable event or outcome. It is changeable. In this message, I wish to try and explain how you, the individual, can jump a timeline into a different destiny at a moment's notice. This can be catapulted to your civilization also jumping timelines. But that's a video for another time. So for this moment, I want to turn my attention to you, the individual human watching this video in this moment, and how you can jump from a horrible, chaotic timeline to something more peaceful, to something more loving and easygoing, something more life-friendly and full of evolution, every potential. So for the record, I want to let you guys know there are technological means to jump timelines, but the information here deals with human consciousness and how are you through the power of your own awareness and intention. You can jump timelines. So for this journey, you already possess two of the greatest treasures in your very own nature. The first one is your sovereign will, which is to make choices. The second one is your capacity to feel. These two, when you combine them properly, will allow you to jump timelines as you wish, as co-creators of your reality, rather than being like pawns on a chessboard. Okay? The fundamental principle for jumping timelines involves a coordination of a few significant fields of intentionality. Number one, you identify the timeline that you want to move into. Number two, you shift your vibrational state to match that timeline. Number three, you lock in the vibrational state so that it doesn't waver. Number four, you take an action that is an expression of the new timeline. And number five is persevere. In this fifth stage, you must hold the vibrational state of the new timeline you have chosen, making your choices coherent with the new timeline and preserving or persevering with this, despite what your senses are telling you. So you want to hold this vibration no matter what it currently looks like, okay? Now, this last phase of perseverance is very important because your current timeline is an accumulation of all of your beliefs and all of your intentions. So, depending on the strength of these beliefs and intentions, you may have to accumulate a very vast amount of energy in order to overcome a set pattern of your life. And this can be very exhausting, my friends. This is why I am extremely exhausted. The information that I'm sharing with you today can be used to address any timeline or any expression in your life down to the most mundane situation. In this message, however, I will be addressing the system for jumping timelines in regards to the Ascension process and how you can move into timelines different than the timeline of the culture that you're currently living in. And it's mind-blowing. It's amazing. This is for some people a revolutionary idea, but for me, it is a simple truth about your nature, about my nature. This is the truth about who we are and what we can do, my friends. We, you and me, are creator gods and goddesses, okay? And this information that has been shared with me through downloads and other sources, I am sharing with you. This information is simply your birthright, okay? This is your birthright. I offer it to you at this time with anticipation and hope that you watching this video will jump timelines and tilt the keel of the ship that you are on and take the vessel into more peaceful and calm waters. So enough of the metaphors, you guys. Let's get down to like the nuts and bolts of how you jump timelines. The Ascension process, from my perspective, involves the energizing of your second body, your Ka, and its elevation in vibration so that it emits more light, okay? And eventually becoming the Sahu, which is the immortal energy body. There are many ways to raise the vibration of your Ka. Most of your spiritual traditions have their own methods for raising your vibration. But unfortunately, so many of them, you guys, are riddled with dogma and, quite honestly, interference patterns from thought forms that were placed by those people who didn't and still don't desire your freedom, but those who profit by your imprisonment, you see? And yes, it's very sad. It's very sad to say that Some of your spiritual traditions, and especially your religions, are just traps, insidious traps. And if you were to rise up in the ascension of your own being, you must separate truth from falsehood. Only you can undertake this task. It's one of the necessities of mastery. This is a line in the sand of consciousness itself for those who have chosen the ascension of their own being. They become masters of truth and don't step aside from fretting out falsehood from reality. They aren't slaves to dogma. They bow down to no one but their own divinity. I bow down to no one but my own divinity. From an energetic standpoint, the ascension process begins when your life force, called Sakim by the ancient Egyptians, begins its ascent up the sacred pathway of the chakras. Okay? And this ascension is simple. It's basically the expansion of consciousness and awareness as your life force enters your higher brain centers and your Ka body becomes energized. You enter another phase of ascension. At this other phase, you begin to metabolize light itself. And by light, I mean spiritual light, a light that exists in the spiritual realms. So, this light feeds the Ka body and increases its vibration when the Ka body reads a certain amplitude or strength of vibration without wavering. It ignites with this type of strong, intense fire, turning it into the Sahu, or the immortal energy body. This could be viewed as one of the final stages of this particular form of ascension. But you guys, I want to make it very clear that any movement upward in consciousness and movement of life force up this energy body, regardless of the method that you used, is part of the ascension process. It's part of it. So let's talk about some basic concepts and strategies for jumping timelines. Now, one of the first tasks facing you, if you're wanting to jump into a timeline or a different timeline, is, and this is major, the transcendence of fear. Most humans fear the unknown, but there is a much more insidious element involved here. Okay, the controllers, those who wish to control your destiny and profit by it, are masters of the projection of fear, you guys, and they are using vast resources of mind control and hypnosis through the media to convince the masses that there is so much to fear. And while there is, quite frankly, some truth to there being reasons for fear, the higher truth is not being revealed. The higher truth, as I view it, is our capacity to change our reality. That's the higher truth. Our ability to use the two treasures of our sovereign will and our capacity to feel as it means to navigate into new timelines. So let me be specific here, as I mentioned earlier. The type of ascension I am speaking about begins with the simple movement of your life force up the spine into your higher brain centers, okay? Now, as this takes place, the energy wheels within your Ka body, called chakras, become activated in new ways. And this opens windows of new possibilities and new insights and new forms of inspiration and creativity. But if your consciousness is locked into fear, then it becomes imprisoned by the lower centers, which the lower centers are the impulses for survival, sex, power. Those are the lower centers, and fear keeps you locked in these lower centers. So you want to get out of those lower centers if you want to jump timelines. You have to get out of those lower centers if you want to jump timelines. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. There has been and continues to be a collision to keep humanity locked into the lower centers, because they want to keep perpetuating fear as a means to control your destiny. For any master who chooses the upward path, you must first hurdle, to pass through the valley of fear. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Remember that. The projected thought forms of one's culture you cannot fear. You must pass through the portals of limitation that would confine you. So that way you can recognize the lies that have been fed to you, even by some of your most sacred religions, you guys. You are such beautiful souls, and I just want you to know that you have the courage and fortitude to undertake this passage. And I want to say, for example, that the timeline you wish to live in is one of peace and love and kindness and harmony. So here's how you would do this. Remembering that the same principle applies to any timeline you wish to create for yourself. Any timeline. So, simply, the first step is to identify the timeline you want to create. One that you want to live in. Okay? In this case, it's a timeline of loving kindness. The second step is to move into the vibrational state that matches that timeline. So it's the feeling state, feeling love, feeling kindness. Okay? And you want to watch yourself. Keep yourself in that state as much as you are capable of. And what I mean is, you want to exhibit loving kindness to others and to yourself. Okay? The third step is locking in that vibrational field, you guys. You want to lock it in so that it doesn't waver. This is a very important aspect of jumping timelines, because the old vibrational state has a life of its own. Just because you have chosen to create a new timeline and have stepped into a vibrational state that matches the timeline, it's not a guarantee that the timeline will manifest or continue. You must lock in that vibrational field, lock it in place, because this is what sustains your access to the new timeline. It's so mind-blowing, you guys. So the first two steps involve your sovereign will. You choose a timeline that you want to experience. You choose a vibrational state that matches that timeline. And in the third step, you're locking in that vibrational state. You use the second treasure of your nature, and that is your capacity to feel. Your capacity to feel. By feeling the vibrational state that you want to be in, you amplify it. You strengthen it. And if you also include a coherent emotional state, such as gratitude or appreciation for the vibrational reality, you start to begin the birthing of it. This simple act of just, appreciation or feeling gratitude for the new timeline You guys, it literally catalyzes its reality in ways that will freaking boggle your mind. So it's the two treasures of your nature joined together in these 3 steps. Now, the next step requires your sovereign will again. You must preserve to hold the vision of the new timeline and the vibrational state, regardless of what your senses are telling you. This is the passage where many people fail. The manifesting of a new timeline into your 3rd dimensional reality requires a lot of accumulated energy. If you persist in holding the vision of a new timeline with the vibrational field, or feeling it along with gratitude for it already existing, then you will accumulate that energy. I promise you, you will. The task here is to be true to your vision while paying attention to what the current reality is showing you. Okay, so it's not about pretending. And along my early journey, I just thought, oh, I'm just going to act as if, I'm just going to pretend. It's not about pretending. It's about facing the reality that you're currently in as it presents itself to you, while at the same time, you're holding a higher vision. In other words, you're dealing with the reality of your life that's going on, but at the same time, simultaneously, holding the vision of a different life. This is the art, my friends. This is the art. And keep showing up to my channel, you guys. Keep showing up, because I am going to dive deep into this, because every single one of us beautiful souls needs to master this, and we need to master this fast. I love you guys. So if you wish to create a life with more loving kindness, peace, and easy going, you would move into that vibrational state by showing love and kindness to others and to yourself. And if you're able to also feel gratitude, not just say it, but feel it, feel the gratitude for this vibrational state, then that's going to accelerate the creation of the new timeline. And it's just so mind-blowing, you guys. It's so mind-blowing. You will become a master of loving kindness and a master in dealing with those who can't express such vibrational states. And eventually, you will experience a life of more loving kindness, where more people express that quality to you and you to them. And when you encounter someone and you're able to express this quality, you'll be more able to deal with him or her without losing this quality in yourself. Say yes to you. And this would see the new timeline and the new reality for you.